Hello again, my name's Gabe Zona. You know, I post at MVI 4623. Whenever I talk about marijuana, people freak out. Well, one of my viewers sent me a rather interesting little article, actually a comment. And what he wrote was, Gabe, I agree with you on marijuana. The last 2 years, we have had 30 deaths from heroin overdoses out of my graduating class. Some of these kids' parents were doctors and some were factory workers. They all have one thing in common. They all started out with weed. And this Christmas Eve, I lost my nephew. I agree with you, Gabe. They need to stand in the funeral homes and look at these children dying. What he should have meant to say, I believe, was look at these dead children. And we have a southern border wide open. Makes me sick, Gabe. People, they all had one thing in common. You know what the one thing was? Well, the one thing was weed. Yeah. Then he also goes on to say, I lost my brother in 2005 to drugs. And my father hated drugs like me. We were taught to stay away from drugs. My brother, like all the rest, started with weed. 40 years old and dead. Nephew this Christmas Eve, he was 20. They have one thing in common, and it all started with marijuana. You see, this is exactly what I've said countless times. That doesn't mean everybody that blows weed goes up to heroin. But you're not going to find very many heroin addicts that didn't start off blowing weed. And what Colorado and what the state of Washington are doing, well, their citizens are going to pay for it 10, 20 years from now. Yeah, if it takes that long. What weed does is it makes people complacent. I've smoked weed back in the 60s. I know what it does. And I know why I stopped. You know, I told you a little bit about my ex-wife, my first ex-wife. I've had two of them. And she was called a viper. Some people just really gravitate towards it. Now, she's not advanced to anything greater than that. But I believe she still smokes weed. And I have had friends die. My own personal experience was it took me a long time before I could get a buzz off of weed. And the guy that ended up taking my first wife, he used to give me weed because he was my buddy. Anyway, one day I got off, and it was rather pleasant, I thought. And then, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, I had a real bad experience. I don't know if what I smoked was laced with something, but I felt like I had fireballs starting in my toes, rushing up through my legs, through my body, and exiting my head. And I couldn't control it. Whereas with weed, you can generally control it. That was the last time I smoked weed. I guess I'm pretty lucky I was able to go away from it. Once again, I've had friends that died. This contributor, this viewer, how do you argue with what the man says when he says what he said? His nephew died. His brother died. Many of his classmates have died. Not from weed. But weed is a gateway. You don't want to believe that? That's your prerogative. Personally, I don't care what you believe. I'm not trying to get you to quit or to start. We're all different. And for people that have serious medical conditions that need weed, that's fine. You also have to recognize a couple of real realities. The weed of the 60s is like candy in comparison to the weed of our present time. Yeah. The drug, which is what it is probably 1,000 times more potent, 1,000 times more powerful than it was back then. The kids today that start off smoking weed don't have the same kind of reactions as the kids back when I was a kid. It's scary, folks. And people can bitch at me, they can swear at me, they can call me all kinds of names. I don't care. I don't do this to try to impress you. I don't do this to try to make you do something you don't want to do. This is a channel that I've created to provide what I believe to be honest, accurate information. You don't want to watch, tune out. You want to bitch at me? I'll delete you. You want to swear at me? I'll delete you and I'll block you. You want to swear about one of my subscribers or viewers? I'll block you. You want to learn something? Open your ears and listen. You don't want to listen, that's your prerogative. I want to thank my viewer for being as honest as I believe he was. I'm sorry that he lost his nephew. I'm sorry that he lost his brother. Seems to me he has or had a good father. Too bad his other brother didn't listen to his father. If he did, he'd probably still be with us. They didn't die from weed. Weed is a stepping stone. That's what it is. You don't want to believe me? Do what you want to do. It's your life. Once again, I want to thank my viewers. I want to thank those that comment on a regular basis. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. If that's at all possible, based on the climate that we're all suffering through. That's what I think. I told you what my viewer thinks. If you've got good things to say, I want to hear what you think. If you don't have good things to say, go haunt some other sites.